We're doing a 24-hour challenge. Now, this is the first time I've done that in a couple of months actually. I don't remember when, but it's been a while since I've done one of these challenges. I really need to do one because we're kind of like in the middle of the month and I've literally only read one book. Technically two, but one of them kind of was a DNF, and that is just not okay. I am in the biggest reading slump and I'm literally in the middle of 3 different books and nothing is really catching my attention. So I really need this time to just read as many books as I can to just kind of get out of this slump. So I have been reading Emily Wilde for 2 weeks. I am barely 33% in. That's how bad my reading slump is. I can't even finish one book that is not even 300 pages. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to split it into 2. Today I'm going to be doing 12 hours and then tomorrow I'm going to do the other 12 hours. We're going to be starting with Emily Wilde. So basically what this book is about Emily Wilde. She is going on an adventure to basically research fairies and their entire world. So this is kind of formatted into like a journal entry where each day is a different day. It is a cozy fantasy, which means that there is no high stakes. It's not something big. It's not something that has a lot of lore or a lot of politics or anything like that. It is basically just her going through her research and just following her day to day. We're gonna start reading this one. Let me get my phone. Where is my phone? We are gonna do our first 12-hour mark. I am so excited. So let's start with this reading challenge.
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost. We stand on the opposite shore. Hello, Ramona. I reach through mysterious ceilings, my only hope. I look for the things I don't know. I stand alone. Show me where the ending goes. Honest.
We finished reading Emily Wilde. I am gonna sit down with my thoughts and kind of just figure out what I think about this book because there's just a lot of nothing going on right now. So I will let you guys know my final thoughts on that later on. While I was reading, I was also trying to figure out what I wanted to read next, and I was really in the mood for a thriller, which is very surprising for me because I personally do not like thrillers. They can just be too much sometimes, but I haven't read one in a while, so why not start now? And one book that caught my eye was The Teacher by Frida McFadden. Okay, so this one revolves around our main character. Her name is Eve and she is a math teacher, and there was basically a scandal that happened last year and she knows what happened, but there is someone who is trying to keep it quiet. One thing that I do love about Frida McFadden is that her books are so fast to read, and so that's like the main reason why I wanted to read this, because when I read The Housemaid, it literally took me 1 day, not even, to finish that book. And then her other books I also read in like a day to 2 day span. So I'm hoping that this one is also a pretty quick read. And I also saw just more people start to read this one and pick it up. So I am intrigued. We are basically in the 4-hour mark. We are really close to it, 4 minutes left. So we're gonna start reading this one and just see how long it takes us. One thing that I really love to do, and I know a lot of people do, is go on Spotify and just search up the title of the book, and there's usually a playlist for it. And it kind of gives you a hint of what the book is going to be kind of about, because most people that make the playlist have already read it. Without further ado, let's start reading The Teacher. We're literally on page 1 and I'm hooked. So I think this is gonna be one of those books that I binge very much. So that Frida McFadden does really good with flawed characters that you don't like and you can't stand them, but you still need to continue reading because you just have to know what happens. I do not like both characters. I do like Addie a little more. So we get 2 point of views, and one of them is Addie. She is the student, and then Eve, who she is the teacher. And you're basically going through both of their lives. And I'm not really going to say much about a certain topic because it revolves around a teacher and student. Do with what you want with that, but I do suggest looking up trigger warnings, and I also suggest looking up the back and the blurb to see if this is a book for you, because it is definitely on the darker side, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say about that, but I am enjoying it. Like I said, it's just one of those books that you just don't like these characters, but you just have to continue reading just to see what happens, and each chapter just makes you more intrigued to know what happens at the end. So yeah, like that's just what I love about Frida McFadden books. It just gives you that feeling. We are about 40% in and it is getting really good. I just have so many different questions, and I am not the type of person who wants to figure out the mystery in thrillers. Like, I really don't care about solving the mystery before we get it revealed. I just like to just flow with it, and whatever we get is what we get. I'm gonna continue reading, and I think I'm gonna finish this before our 12-hour mark. I think we're about 6 hours in. Yes, we are 6 hours in, and I'm definitely gonna be finishing this before then. Let's continue reading. Chapter 11. I am getting really tired, so I don't know how much longer I'll be able to stay awake, but I do feel like I'm gonna fall asleep very soon, so I'm just gonna try to power through and continue reading as much as I can. I am reading on my Kindle because it is easier to grab and just, you know, have in my hands than like the physical book, but I am basically going back and forth and also tabbing to see how far I am, so that's where it is at the moment. So far it's good. I was a little thrown off by the instant lovey thing because it just came out of nowhere and I really didn't expect it. With other books it would be a turnoff, but for whatever reason I really like both of them together. So I'm gonna continue reading as much as I can and then continue reading tomorrow. So let's continue. I think like 90% through with this book. Even though this book is pretty hefty for a romance book, I feel like there's just so much that happens and a lot of different things that are being touched, and I'm very surprised honestly because there's different things that I didn't really expect. I'm really enjoying it. If we didn't have all those things and it was kind of like, you know, like your typical romance book, I would have definitely been bored very quickly. We have about 8 hours left in our time, and the next book that we're going to be reading is going to be the third book in the Cruel Prince series, The Queen of Nothing. I chose this book to be the last one because I knew that this book was going to be so good, especially how the last book kind of ended. That's why I just waited until the last for this one, because I knew by the end of this challenge I was just gonna be very tired and I really needed a book that I truly wanted to read, and this I really want to read. So that's really the only reason I'm kind of like wanting to finish this, because I really want to jump into this very, very quickly. We are at a point right now where I'm not bored, but I'm just wishing that this gets wrapped up pretty quickly. We are gonna see how this turns out and how this ends. I am very intrigued to finish the entire series and just continue it, so it's definitely gonna be a series that I continue. But let's continue reading and see where this goes. Finally finished our 24-hour challenge, and we read, honestly, more than I thought we would. So let's get into it. The first book that we read was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I don't know if it was because I was in a really bad reading slump or what it was, but I didn't love it the way that other people did. I don't know if I just love the high stakes of fantasies and it just didn't have that, and it just got me really bored. I just didn't really connect with the characters. I didn't really care even for their relationship. I was just kind of there, and by the end of it, I was just really happy to get it over with. And so for that, I think I'm just gonna give it like a 2.5. I do think that if you do love cozy fantasies, this is definitely for you, but for me personally, I prefer like a more action-packed fantasy where there's just so many different things. But I do understand why people love this book. It's just, I guess it's just not for me. The second book that we read was honestly very surprising, because I read a thriller, which was The Teacher by Frida McFadden. That was mostly because I know that those books are so fast to get through. I knew that I wanted to read that because after finishing Emily Wilde, it just took me so long that I just wanted a quick, fast-paced read, and this one definitely did it for me. I don't own the physical copy, but I did download it on my Kindle, so if you guys do have Kindle Unlimited, you guys can also download it through that. But it was a really good, interesting book. The characters, they were definitely something, and you were just wanting to finish the book and see what happens, because every chapter that it ends up on, you just want to continue reading it. And they are definitely flawed characters, and there's just so many different things that they say and do that you're just kind of like, what are you doing? The third book that we read was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. It's basically kind of like Disneyland, where there's just a bunch of theme parks, and it basically follows 3 different brothers, and the founder of it was their grandfather who passed away, and he left them all an inheritance. But for them to be able to get that, they all each have to do something different that the grandfather asked them to do. Rowan basically has to figure out a brand new idea to bring into the parks, and he uses a girl named Sarah. And I do want to say that this book actually took me by surprise. It's definitely not like your typical romance books where basically boy meets girl and they kind of fall in love with each other. There's just so many different things that both characters deal with, and it definitely pulled at my heartstrings because they just both deal with different things. And so I highly recommend. I'm so excited to just continue the series. The last book that we read was the final book in the Cruel Prince series, The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I loved this book so much. It's so good. I know that this complete series people love or hate, but I'm one of those people who love the series. I will definitely be continuing kind of like the spin-off after this that follows the brother of the main girl here. It's definitely going to be a series that I will just hold very close to my heart. And like I mentioned before, I purposely left this for the end because I knew that this book was just going to just make me want to continue reading, because once I finished the fine print, because it's kind of like a longer book, I was kind of getting a little tired of reading, and so this was just the perfect book to finish this reading challenge. So if you guys have not read the Cruel Prince trilogy, please give it a chance. It's more politics based. It's not really huge on the romance. I know that people basically romanticize the romance, but do keep in mind that it's not really a big thing in this entire trilogy. It's basically politics based and just kind of like whole world building, and it's just so good. But yeah, these are all the books that we read in today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, night, whatever time you guys are watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.